Hi everyone, good morning. So in yesterday's class, we saw about how to write user stories in detail. Uh, Today we are going to see about how to write SRS document in detail. Okay, so what is SRS document? SRS document is nothing but it is software requirement specification. So I'm going to show you an actual document. So there are three type of documents that they may ask you to write. So let's say that if you're joining a waterfall methodology project, what they want you to do is write a BRD, FRD, and SRS. These are the three important documents. Let's say that if you're joining waterfall, okay, so they want you to write a BRD, FRD, and SRS document. Okay. And if you are in Agile, mostly they are going to ask you to write user stories, which I showed you yesterday. So Agile means mostly user stories. Okay. But there can be sometimes you will have a requirement where you'll be coordinating with external systems. So let's say that, for example, I'm taking a case here. Okay. So the case here is, so ADP wants to send your W2s. Okay. W2 means yearly like tax statements. They want to print and send it to you. Unless you opt for paperless, it's a requirement that they send it to the address. Whatever it's in the system, they're going to send it to the address, right? So they have a requirement. So every year in US, the statement is called as W2 statements. Okay. So what you're going to do, ADP has to like, when the date comes, they have to like generate, for example, by end of the year or by January first week or second week, they'll mostly send you the W2 tax statements for everybody, whoever they use SR. That's a requirement. Now, what will happen is, if you don't opt for paperless and you wanted a printed copy, the backend data flow is like they are not printing, right? Because they are payroll systems. What they will do is they will integrate with some print vendor. Print vendor can be IBM. There are different types of print vendor. Okay, so IBM is there, PST is there, different vendors are there for printing. So they don't do it in house. They don't have like a full-time printing team and all that. What they will do is they will send they'll have tie up with that print vendor, and they will be sending a file based upon the eligibility criteria. So some team has to generate that file from ADP. So ADP, some in ADP there should be for letter generation, there should be a team. Okay. So what they will do is, based upon eligibility, they will extract that member data. So member's first name, last name, and address, their tax details. What they will do, they will gather those, and they will be sending it to as a file. They have to like send it to this print vendor, and print vendor should be able to print and send it to the members, and we get these tax documents. Okay. So this integration, for that integration, even though ADP internal employees, they follow Agile. Let's say that they have their user stories, they have their Jira boards, they have all their Confluence, but IBM is a print vendor, right? IBM cannot access ADP's internal, like those Jira systems or Confluence system. They cannot access it because they are not employee. First of all, they are third party, but maybe they are following Agile, they're following Waterfall, we don't know. But your team, if you're working for ADP, you are like a letter generation team. Internally, for your Scrum team, for your Scrum Masters, developers, testers, BA, you can all use this story. You can write user stories for them. Let's say that you're going to say daily file. Okay. Daily file for sending this tax documents, you have to print and send it. That's the requirement. And every day, like daily file, you're going to send it to the IBM team. Okay. What you will do is, for that scenario, you are going to write user stories in Jira, like I showed yesterday, how to write summary, how to write description, how to write acceptance criteria. All that you're going to do it in Jira, where only the access can be accessed only by your team, not by IBM engineers or by all those external third party that you are integrating, right? They will not have access to your Jira board. So in that case, they will ask you to give them a Word document. So they will be asking you to give, like, for example, um, like, can you just give the all the business, because we are the client for them, no? So we have to give them business requirements. So we will be telling them that this is the layout, so this is how we are going to send the file, and what is the frequency every day, whether it's going to be multiple times, or it's going to be like once every day, or however we agree, and how whatever is the volume, based upon that we will be sending it. So what is the file layout, how we are going to send it, and how we are going to, like, for example, what are, this is like you're integrating with the external third party, right? So how that handshake is happening to SFTP setup. So whether we'll receive an ACK file from IBM saying that we received your files, everything is processed. What if there are error scenarios? What if there is a blank file? What to do? These out of scope scenarios also you have to document. So it's not that every time in your an agile methodology, people say that in agile you don't want to write BRD, but in real scenarios it's not like that. If you're actually working in IT project, you will know that Jira board can be accessed only by whether if you have given access. Okay, so that is mostly for full-time employees working within your team or inside your company. That's fine. That anybody can access your user story and they can track the status. But if you are integrating with a different external vendors and offshore teams, and like multiple international teams, okay, so you are in the US, you are integrating something with an external, like I told you, right, print vendors like IBM, PST, Content. There are so many vendors are there. We have Icario, we have I mean, name it. There are so many vendors are there, printing vendors are there. Okay, and whether you can be in the US, you are an on-site team, you are actually integrating with someone from Philippines, from Bangladesh, from Sri Lanka, like so many, right, international resources. So we won't give access to them, to our Jira board, because due to compliance, or we won't give offshore our access and all. So what we will do is we will create everything as a BRD, we will send it. If it is third party, we will give them as BRD only. So what we will do is, you need to know, if they ask in the interview, and they will know, if you don't have real time experience, you will say this real, I mean, like this generic answers that I worked in agile, so I know only user stories. They will figure out, okay, this person doesn't have actual experience, because, or doesn't have any enough kind of like lead experience for them to understand in the back end, like what kind of integrations we'll have with different multiple teams, right? So when you say in your resume that you know how to write a BRD, FRD, and SRS. BRD is business requirement document, FRD is functional requirement document, and SRS is system requirement specification. So the maximum that you will come across is BRD, because you are giving that requirements to them, that vendors. Okay, that for example, for in this case, ADP, if you are the BA for ADP, you will tell the vendor, okay, so this is a file format that we will send. Please let us know if that is okay, or these are the some of the details that we will be sending. Okay, so for example, member first name, last name, address, or if there is a designee first name, last name, and address. So these are some of the details that we will be sending. Is that okay? And for tax information, it all needs to be secured, right? So how are we going to secure that information? That also we have to discuss. So you take help of the engineers, and you finalize on the file layout, and also like how these files, frequency of the files, acknowledgement of the files, what are the success scenarios, error scenarios. If you want it to be, if not file batch processing, do you want to send using APIs? What is the process? If API means, what are the APIs? Whether it's get method, or whether it's post method, put method. There are so many API methods, right? So using what method you're going to pull the data, whether you're using SOAP or REST. So there are so many things are involved, right? So you're going to discuss all those technical requirements, and you're going to add it in the SRS document. So from an BA perspective, if they say that do you know all these terminologies? You should say yes. Yes, I know how to write a BRD. Whether you are using an actual project or not, that's a different case. I'm telling you about interview perspective. So do you know do you know how to write a BRD? Yes. Do you know how to write an FRD? Yes, I know. I know the layout. Do you know how to write SRS? Yes, I can do it. And in Agile, of course, Agile, you should know it, right? So do you know how to write user stories? What is a definition of ready? What is definition of done? What is story point estimation? How do you prioritize user stories? What are the prioritization techniques that you use? So all that you should be able to answer. Now, let me give you a real-time example of SRS document. So this is done by IIT Chennai, and the authors' names are given here. So what they are doing is they are writing an SRS document for a mobile application where they have to, like, the nurse. I'll tell you the whole data flow so that you understand. So let me take the picture.
Ma'am, please share this document in chat.
So what is the data flow is like, the nurse is actually using the phone. Okay, so the nurse is actually going to, so you know, like in rural areas there will be like health surveys. So what they will do is like a nurse will come to your house, and if there is any person, they'll just knock randomly. They'll just knock the door, and then they'll come and they'll ask for, do you want to take a health survey? And then they'll be like, taking a health survey. It can be any kind of surveys, or these are the different forms. So health survey, offline survey, and then preference form, location form. These are different kinds of form, and using mobile. So they are not taking their laptops with them. Initially it's all done manually, right? Manual means they'll have paper, they will have pen. So they're going to ask you, like, for example, you are there, they're going to come and ask you what's your first name or last name. They know your address, of course. And then they're going to ask you, like, is anybody affected by COVID? Can you tell us how many people were affected? So all this, like, health scenarios, they're going to ask you. They're going to take the data, and they have to go and submit that paper. And from that, then again manually, like, someone has to extract, retrieve the data, and then it has to be processed and stored in database. That is the current process, right? So what now they want to do, enhancement, what they want to do is, now the nurse is taking a mobile application, okay, mobile phone with them, and those surveys are already digitally, we have those survey forms integrated. And so they're going to take those surveys. Once they submit the surveys, it is actually going to a server. For example, these are the different kind of surveys: health survey, offline survey, about their profile, location. So these are the some of the data we are going to extract. And what we are going to do is, we are going to, like, send those informations to the RTB BP database. Okay, and then digitally we are going to store them in, like, in one transaction or something. uh, we'll make sure that they have GPRS, they have internet, so they have all that, right? So from there, they will send able to, when they send a message, when they can submit that every form through message, and then when they submit it, we will be able to receive that, and we will be able to store in the database. Okay, that's the enhancement we are going to do. So we are no longer going to give them paper. We are no longer going to give them paper and pen. All we are going to do, tell them, train them, the nurses, is like, you're going to take a mobile application, and from the mobile application you'll be able to submit all these health surveys. And you need to have a valid internet that is there. Okay, if there is no internet, that can be error scenarios. So we will also have a backup plan of, in those cases, what needs to be done. So for success scenarios, let's say that you have signal and there is no problem, you are able to, like, access all the forms. You are able to, like, send those all this data to the database. We are going to store it, right? This is the happy path. Okay, in case if there is no signal, okay, from the phone, if there is no signal, then we have an alternate route of, you're going to check the RMS, and then from there we are going to have an alternate flow. We're going to send an alert, um, like a signal is not there, something like that, but a backup copy will be there from our side. Okay, so what we are going to train, or you, in the SRS document, I mean, this is like very very simply, like, they have drawn the diagrams, but in actual projects you have to, like, tell them, like, you have to tell the developer exact specifications of what are the, like, how you are interacting with multiple systems, right? Like, for example, from mobile to this Java application, from there it needs to come to our database and it needs to make an entry in our database. Okay, so how we are going to do that. So but in here they have not given those kind of specifications. All they have given is like the flow diagrams. So if you see, they have not added anything in detail. What they have done in this SRS document is, so they have written in plain English. For example, you have definitions. So first you have overview, what is this project about, you have definitions, then you know what is this, like what are the different forms you're going to do, and what is the real need. So real need is, like I told you, to in order to um, uh, eradicate all this manual process, right? We are going to like give them mobile applications and we are going to make sure that they submit all this in through the mobile applications. Okay, so they are writing in plain English here, and then they're just adding a use case. So use cases, for example, you have a health nurse. Health nurse is now using mobile application. They're going to submit different types of health forms. From there, a copy is going to Java RMS, and then all the data is like being received, and it is going to the RTBP server, and it's getting um, stored there, okay, in our database. So they're just giving a use case scenario. Ideally, I won't tell this as SRS document. This is like more of a functional requirement document, right? Because from a functionality perspective, you're just seeing how data is like going from one system to another system, and you're not giving anything. You're just giving a flow diagram for different like scenarios. So flow diagram for all this health surveys, flow diagram for, this is for health survey. Okay, for health survey, what is the flow diagram? And then for this is like, yeah, so offline upload. If you don't have internet, how do you submit the survey? And then, like, for example, what is this? This is for location form, in order for them to enter their village name, and then their first name, last name, and everything. Okay, so these are the different flow diagrams that they have given. This is not, and this is from IIT Chennai, and this is not, I wouldn't call this is like a proper SRS document. A proper SRS document, I'll show you the real, like how it will work. I'll give you a layout. A proper SRS document is, you are actually saying correct software requirements to your developer. These are the API endpoints. This is the layout. For example, I told you, right, in ADP, if you take this, how do you tell, what are the information that you have to add in the SRS document? You have to say, see, this is the file format. Okay, it needs to have a unique ID, okay, like a UID or something, and it needs to have a doc ID. It needs to have member's first name, last name, address, and if there is a designee, it needs to have, for example, in my W2 can be received by my accountant, so my accountant is my designee, right? Send that W tax document to him. So if there is a designee's first name, last name, and his address. And then if it is email address, you're going to give an email address, phone number, whatever it is. So those are the values that ADP is going to send it to the print vendor. So very specific, detailed file layouts you're going to like document in the SRS. Also, like how frequently the file will be transferred, and what is from where it's going to transfer. For example, folder paths. From this folder path, the by using this SFTP setup, the file will be sent every day twice, or maybe every day once at 5 p.m. and it will be dropped in this particular location. And IBM team system will be able to pick up that file, and they will be able to process it. The SLA is 3 days, 3 business days. Within 3 business days, we have to like print and send the W2s to our members. So very clear instructions you have to give in the SRS document. So here, it's all plain English, and they're calling it as SRS, right? So this is not SRS document. I wouldn't confirm this as SRS documents, because all I'm seeing is only data flow diagrams. This should be in FRD or it should be in BRD, because here what I'm saying is, what is the user goals, what is the real need of this project overall, like what is the project about. All this needs to be covered in BRD. That's the difference between BRD and FRD. In BRD, we are going to talk about all the business requirements, business needs, business goals, overall view of the project. We are going to draw all these data flow diagrams, and we are going to give a high level like overview of about the project from different modules. Okay, so you're going to draw this use case diagram, overall data flow diagram. If there are multiple modules, we are going to like draw all those diagrams, and then we are going to cover it. But in SRS, it's going to be a little bit difficult. I mean, different. In SRS, you are actually telling the engineers, the developers who are actually developing the actual software product, right? You're just telling them the format of the file itself and how it will be processed. What is the success scenarios? When do you call it a successful transaction between two systems? For example, I'm sending a file today, a member file today. If you're not receiving that file, and I already sent, let's say that I'm sending my file from ADP, my file, my details are going to now IBM. Okay, but they have not received it. How do you know whether they have received or not? I need to receive an ACK file from ACK means acknowledgement file. So if my file is going and successfully IBM, that's third party, right? If they are receiving it, they have to send an ACK file to us saying that by unique identifier, every file will have a unique identifier, right? So they'll send that this particular file with the file image, whatever you have sent, we have received it. So that needs to come within 2 hours. Okay. So today morning, if I send a file from ADP to IBM at 8 o'clock, by 10, I need to, within 2 hours, I need to receive an ACK file. If I don't receive an ACK file, I have to do is I have to automatically trigger an email alert to their IBM support team saying that we sent a file today, okay, and we didn't receive any ACK file. So that everything you're automating. Nobody is monitoring all this in production. Nobody's monitoring. And you know about ADP, right? They have a very huge client database. I mean, client all over the world. So nobody's sitting and monitoring whether the file that we sent IBM is receiving or not. Everything is automated. So how do you automate that? So if I send like 10 files to IBM today morning, and if I don't receive an ACK file, the system has to automatically trigger an email alert to the IBM support team. And that email ID, you have to get it from, as a BA, you will get it from them. So can you give me the support email ID? And our system has to automatically generate that email saying that these are the file names that we sent today. It's been like more than 2 hours. We didn't receive an ACK file. So they'll be going and like that supporting, right? They will go and research on whether they have received or not, whether there were any issues during file transfer, whether the file was hiding somewhere, like they'll figure out. Or if there is anything issue with the file names, they're going to say us, right? So those kind of things, very specific details about what are the success scenarios. Success is I send 10 files, they are able to receive it and process it within 3 business days. First of all, they will give an acknowledgement within 2 hours. Yes, we got your file. And then they are going to like print and send it. So that is like the handshake. So in the interview, they may be asking you if you have interacted with vendors, can you tell me what's the file format? How do you like exchange data between two systems, from your system to another system? What are the different ways? How do you make sure that file is being successfully transferred? Tell me the success scenarios. Or if it is error scenarios, like example, they got your file, for example, member first name and last name is missing. You didn't send it in your file. You means the system is unable to extract the data, and it's not sending first name and last name, then that is a reject scenario, right? Because without first name and last name, you have only the address, but without first name and last name, they cannot generate the letter and send it to the member. So those 5 elements, first name, last name, address, those are mandatory. Okay, so member's first name, member ID, last name, address, and I told you file name, unique identifiers. All these are 5 field values are essential, that these are mandatory values. If those values are not there, IBM is going to reject our file and we have to reprocess. So these are like very specific case scenarios that you're going to document in the SRS document. So you won't be documenting like this. How you will document is what is the layout, file layout. You'll document that. And what are the mandatory fields that we have to send for each file. If one of the mandatory fields is missing, now IBM has to reject that file, right? And if all the mandatory fields are present, so let's say that member ID is there, first name is there, last name is there, address is there. If a designee means designee, first name, last name, address, everything is there. So all the 5 mandatory fields are there. Then within 2 hours, they have to send us a ACK file back saying this transaction is a success, we'll be able to process this. If we send the file, if we don't receive an ACK file back from them in 2 hours, then automatically our system has to generate that alert to their support team saying that we sent the following files, we didn't receive an um, ACK file back. So someone manually is going to look at that problem. So those kind of detailed file interactions, how frequent it's going to happen, what is the requirement for an ACK file, how do you identify one of the thing is not available, what are the success scenarios, what are the error scenarios. So those kind of very specific uh, like software requirements you're going to document for the engineers to make sure that you make their life easy. Accordingly, they're going to develop the file layout, whatever you're telling, your engineer will do same thing. And IBM engineers also, they'll form the same layout. They'll make sure that they develop um, the file frequency, and also they'll make sure there is an ACK file back, and alert system is being developed. So automatic triggering of emails, right, to the support team, that also needs to be developed. So once they complete all this development, then you can check in QA, you can check in UAT, check all the scenarios. So for scenarios for successful transactions, scenarios for reject transactions, scenarios where you need to like check if you don't receive an ACK file, how to trigger emails. So these are specific test scenarios that you have to test with IBM, right? So for those things, you will not write user stories. You're going to write BRD and FRD and SRS document. So someone asked me the link.
Hi Pradeepa. So I have a doubt, like whether we need to have like full technical knowledge of how like the files are getting transferred and all those FTP protocols and all those things.
I mean, without you actually working in the project, it's very difficult. But if you're
Okay.
adding experience in the project, like let's say that you are adding 6+, and
Okay.
so they will expect you to know all that.
Okay. Okay. And I
So
just wanted to know, like, whether it is the same for, like, you have explained about credit check process, right? It is
mhm,
like integrating with the credit bureaus, like Equifax or something, right? So they
right.
all for that also we need to create a BRD like this. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay.
Because your bank and your credit bureau are
Yeah.
different
Third
companies,
party.
third
Okay.
party.
Got it.
Let's say Bank of America has to integrate with Equifax, that's a different
Yeah.
company, right? So it can be batch or it can be through API.
Okay.
So mostly
It will
credit
be.
and all will be APIs only
Yeah.
because it's real time, right? When
Yeah.
once you click submit, you'll get the score.
Okay. Okay.
So
For
it's not
API,
like
it's
printing.
totally different process, or like how they will like can you explain in a little bit detail like how it will work with
Yeah.
API?
So what you will do is let's take a bank. Okay, Wells Fargo. I'll give you an example how it works for banking projects.
Okay.
Okay, so they're saying that get your score for free. Why means they can give you loan and make you they can give you multi-million million loans and make you pay the interest. That's why they're very like they're giving this for free. Someone is saying free, it means something hidden agenda is there. So see here, what they're doing is they can give you
Mm-hmm.
your FICO score just for free. Okay, so
Okay.
easily you can update. What you'll do is you will log in. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
using your login, username, and password. So means you know that you are already an existing user. So they know your member ID, they know your past transactions, whether you're paying credit card on time, your SSN, all those details they know. All they're asking is your consent for the credit score check.
Okay.
So
Okay.
from here, once you enroll, what will happen is they have to go and get the score from either Equifax or Experian. Experian is also a credit bureau. Okay, so
Okay.
from Experian or like TransUnion, like there are so many
Yeah.
in the back end. You know that, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
what they will do is once you give consent to Wells Fargo using an API, what they will send your details. Okay, so
Okay.
your SSN, your member information, like basically like for 1 year how much you spent and everything.
Mm.
So they will send those informations because that's what they want, whether you're currently employed or not, how much you're spending every month, whether you're paying on time. So
Okay.
that's few fields, okay? So
Okay.
let's say that 5 to 6 fields. So that those information they are sending to Experian, and Experian should be able to, based upon that criteria, they'll have like a coding based upon these criterias, whether it's good, bad, or excellent, or poor, whatever it is.
Okay.
So, but that is happening in seconds.
Yeah. Is it happening through file transfer protocol or
No,
anything?
no, not file to API.
Oh, okay. Okay. Got it.
To
Got it.
REST API. In the backend, you're using REST API. Okay.
Okay.
Because if it's file transfer, you cannot get it instantly.
Yeah. It will be batch processing.
Correct.
Right.
Batch processing is for like printing letters and all.
Okay. Okay.
The SLA can be 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, a week or something. For that only, slowly we will process.
Okay.
And we are now moving to APIs. REST API is like an advanced API thing, right? So we are moving to REST APIs, but like legacy systems are still using batch processing.
Okay. So
Okay.
in SRS, how what title we'll just mention like it's API. Is that more than enough if we mention that, or we need to like put
So
in some?
in API, right, there are,
Mhm.
about API and get, post, put method, patch, delete, all that methods.
No, I don't have knowledge
Yeah,
about.
yeah. So you need to know when you write
Yeah,
SRS, you should know
but
whether
yeah.
are you using get API, post API,
Okay.
or like very specific endpoints.
Okay. Got it.
So for example, like in those APIs, what are the field values? So member first name, last name, members, like for example, SSN,
Mm.
members, like maybe like average monthly spending amount or income, or whether they're paying on time, like those kind of information, right? These are something Experian would need in order
Oh,
for them to give you a score.
okay. Got it.
So so for that you need to know what is difference between SOAP API, REST API, and then if it is API means what are the different methods, what is the difference between get method and post method, why we
Oh,
are using post method, so,
mm,
and endpoints also.
okay.
API endpoints, those are the specific software details, that requirement details. You will add it and send it to, if you're working for Wells Fargo, you will send it to Experian. If you're
Okay.
working for Experian, you need to ask that information from Wells Fargo BAs.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, so anything real
Ma'am,
time is API.
Okay. Got it.
Yes,
ma'am, can I ask?
yes.
If we adopt hybrid methodology for a project, means waterfall plus agile,
Mm.
then we have to create all BRD, FRD, and user stories and SRS.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've told you. It
Hybrid,
depends upon which project. See, if your users can access your Jira board, then user stories is totally fine. So you need not write BRD, sit and write BRD, right? But
yeah.
let's say that they are unable to access your user stories, then like what's the method? So it depends upon what your seniors are doing, what is your team, right? They may have a certain like protocols. So what they are doing, you have to mimic the same thing.
Yes. Thank
So
you.
it's not that, see, if you're starting from scratch, you can always develop your own process and all that. That's fine. But usually, team, right, they have their own process. So you just go observe first 2 weeks. Just go observe whether you're the senior BA, what kind of their work they are doing. Is it completely agile? I think like nobody is completely agile. Even though they say agile, nobody is completely agile, because like this, right? You have to Wells Fargo has to integrate with Experian. It may look like as one system, but in the back end you're actually getting data from external vendors. So how are you going to like give requirements to them?
Yes.
You got it. So when we say hybrid, so what's the difference between agile and hybrid? Agile is the maximum you can go 4 weeks sprint. Okay. So 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and 4 weeks. That's the maximum you can go. And after that, let's say it's going to take months. Then we follow something like hybrid model. But in real time, there is no actual agile. You cannot develop a product in like 2 weeks and go live. Right? What we
Yes.
will do is, why we are doing that is so that if there is any defects, we can fix it then and there. So usually you are creating user stories in such a way that you'll be able to finish that particular functionality within 2 weeks. But you can just complete all your user stories and go live after 3 months too.
Yes.
So
Understood.
you got it, right? So for example, here I have sign on or login function. With that, only that going live, how can member cannot do anything?
Yes.
So if they log in, if they log in, they have to do some kind of functionality. With just login functionality, you develop that in 2 weeks and you're going live. What's the purpose of it? After that, what the member is going to do? Just log in and view the homepage. That's it. So what you will do is like, so login maybe in first 2 weeks you do, then you are going to like, maybe like, for example, they're going to view the account page. All that can be developed in multiple sprints. We'll finish it, we'll complete the UAT, but go live can happen only like maybe 3 or 4 months. End of it, finally, everything you're testing, it can go live so that you have a complete product in hand. So when we say agile, don't think like the actual feature is will be going live to the end users in 2 weeks. No, that's not the idea. The idea is we are making sure that the developers and testers are working. They're working on something on the user story and they are completely testing it. UAT is completed. Go live can be this Friday. It can be like after 3 months. It depends upon business.
Yes.
Okay. And also the functionality as a whole, whether we are completing everything. So you can say that I worked in a 3-week sprint. I worked in a 4-week sprint, but not all your user stories will go live at the end of that sprint. That's what I'm trying to say. So maybe it's a very big functionality. It may take maybe 3 months. Each month is a sprint. You'll finish everything, or maybe like you're dividing that one functionality into like 8 user stories. You're finishing all your user stories, and after 3 months only you can go live.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you got it. So you need to understand that. Don't think like theoretically we can say you have to go live in that particular sprint, but in actual scenarios, we are not going live every Friday. We have to make sure that all the functionalities are available, and only then after business is like fine, they test everything and when they're fine, we are going to go live. Okay, if it's a very small functionality, then okay, we can go that Friday too. Within 2 weeks you can go. If it's like something like you're enhancing, it's a small user story, you can go. But for a brand new project, like I told you, like integration, for example, Wells Fargo is integrating with another merchant. That is like it will take 6 months for them to do that integration. So they can say that they are in agile process. They can create that all the small user stories. They'll finish all the integration testing and everything, and finally it will go live on one day, where the end users, if they log in, they'll be able to get the score from, let's say, TransUnion. Yes, they'll be able to get that score. It's not that day 1 in 2 weeks they cannot do that, right? So you need to understand, when we say agile, means you're completing that user story within that particular sprint, but go live can happen anytime.
Yes.
Pratibha, I have a doubt in elicitation technique. Actually, I missed one of your class. Can I ask now, or like, is there?
You can ask. Yeah, you can ask.
Yeah. During interview, no, you have mentioned like with who BA will be conducting interview sessions for elicitation, right? So the stakeholders will doesn't have that much of technical knowledge, right?
So
how they?
stakeholders and business owners are different. Stakeholder, anybody is a stakeholder.
Okay.
Stakeholder. When I say stakeholders, means your developer is also a stakeholder.
Okay, got it.
Business owners are the one. So that's why when we say stakeholders, the word stakeholders means your developer is a stakeholder, SME is a stakeholder, architect is a stakeholder, testers, everybody is considered as stakeholders.
Okay, so we'll like choose a stakeholder who has knowledge about the like data flow, what databases that we need to use, and so that we can get the correct answers and we can build a product, right?
Correct. When you
Okay,
say
that was
business owners, they are, like you said, business owners are non-technical people.
non-technical persons. Yeah, got it.
So difference between stakeholders, they will ask you business owners and stakeholders.
I got
Stakeholders
confused in this actually, so I was like thinking, yeah.
Stakeholders is anybody who is involved in the project is called a stakeholder.
Okay.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions?
Yeah, hi Pradika, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, quick one. I missed the last training you did, like the normal training. I wanted to know what one is the next training happening.
Which one?
The paid one.
For
Healthcare.
healthcare. Yeah. So it's already there. So if you want, you can purchase the course and I can do a private training for you.
Oh, okay.
So what we will do is like you can purchase that course and then I can, like, after you finish that course, right, I can do a private sessions with you.
Oh. Okay. Hello?
Yeah, hi, what's your name?
Oh, okay. My name is Heidi. My
ID
second,
ID
yeah,
from which country ID, or where are you
I'm
located?
actually in the US at the moment.
Okay, got it. Okay. So what ID you can send me an email. Do you have my email ID?
No, I don't, and I tried to look for you on LinkedIn as well, but I couldn't
No,
find
no,
you
I'm
on
not in
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. I just came out of LinkedIn because there is so many. See, my colleagues are there and everybody is trying to like tag me, and also I'm like, no, my
Okay.
colleagues. So I'm not doing it.
Okay, can you send me your email? Okay, okay.
I added, right? So career guidance for everyone at gmail.com.
Okay,
So
all right.
send an email. So you
Okay.
can purchase that course, and then like what you once you complete the course or simultaneous also, I can train. I'll review your resume.
Okay.
And then I'll say how to like change things according to your resume, how you need to answer, and then so I can
Okay.
give you a private coaching.
Okay. No
Okay,
problem.
got it?
Thank you.
Okay, great. So tomorrow we have the last day, right, for training, and my voice is also I got some throat infection, so I cannot continue this free training on Monday. I'm just focusing on my paid trainings. So tomorrow is the last day for the free trainings. So, like, do you have any specific questions for me for tomorrow's session? Something that you want me to cover?
Yeah, Federica, for me, I still want to know the BRD document because I'm having issues with understanding when to start with the BRD. I understand BRDs should be used at the beginning of the project.
Mm,
Or yeah, but I'm having issues with the BRD, FRD. At what point? Like today, you explained the SRS, which I
mm.
understand. But for the BRD and the FRD, I'm having issues with it. And then I was reading the like BA book. At what point will I have to write a business case? Is a business case part of a BRD as well?
Yes, yes. Business case is a part of BRD. So that's the first thing. So once you gather requirements, right, you have to
Okay.
start writing the BRD and business case.
Okay. Okay.
Initially, that's the first document you will start writing.
Okay.
Before even you write the SRS and all will come later.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, so you
So
go for a
after
call, you gather requirements. The first document you will start writing is BRD and business case.
okay. Okay.
Okay.
So business case is part of the BRD document. So I don't have to write it separately.
Yeah, yeah. Business case is like very high level data flow.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
that's different from functional use cases. But yes, from a business perspective, if you would say that this is what they want, this is what data has to navigate, you will add that in BRD. Yes, I can show you tomorrow, ID,
Okay. All right.
so that
Thank you
it's
so
easy
much.
for you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay, I think we are good for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Take care.
Bye. Yeah.